What's going on, guys? Mishugashu. We are back with another Musume video. It's gonna be a kind of a different video. There was a comment that said that they wanted a beginner's guide video. I think it was by RLZ. I'm gonna do my best here to do a beginner's guide for you. But to be honest, I'm just gonna go with what I know off the bat and what kind of tips and all that I can give for beginners out there. Well, first things first, if you're actually just starting off, like brand new and fresh, uh, most likely your beginner units would be the typical 5 that I know of, which would be vodka, gold ship, um, vodka, gold ship, Sakura Bakushino, and I think that was Scarlet, and I think there's one more. I don't remember who. I think Haru would be the other one. Been a while. It's been nearly a year since I started playing this game. But typically those are the first 5 that you start with, and then you won't really have any cards to work with, support cards. So the support cards, as we all know, this is a gacha game. So in this game, you have to worry about getting characters as well as support cards. For beginners, I'd say if you're just starting off and you have enough gems to split between the two, I would say do that. If you want to go for characters, I'd say wait until the anniversary to reroll, if that's the case, or yeah, just a reroll. But if you're just you already started and all that, then I'd say one of the units that you guys should go for if you really want an easy unit to work with that's summonable. I'd go for a Guri Cap. Unless they give you a ticket to use, then I go for a Guri Cap. She's like literally one of the easiest characters that I've experienced when I was starting off. And even until now, she's still one of the easiest characters to use, and she's actually still really good, in my opinion. But the reason why I say a Guri Cap, if you take a look at her, she can do both turf and dirt races. She can do basically all of it. If you can bring her up in short distance, you can use it for short distance. So you can use her for all distances, and you would mainly just use her as a leader. And then she, with speed and power, she has pretty much the 2 main stats that you want to focus on as a growth rate. So that works out perfectly fine when you're going through training, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Now, as you're starting off, you don't really have to worry about like too much because you don't really have much to work with, especially with like support cards and all that. At least from my experience, that's how I began to learn by like just picking different cards and all that. Pretty sure all the people who have seen my videos before or from a long time ago knows that I've messed around with my cards a lot. So one of the most like I guess I could say setups that you could use normally when starting off is pretty much just 3 speed, 2 power, and I guess you could use 4 speed, because I remember doing 4 speed and 2 power before when I first started off. I just tried to mix and match, but you also use guts, but that's if you have enough guts cards. So as you can see, you'll probably have more SR cards compared to SSR cards. You start off, unless you heavily focus on going for support cards. That could be one option if you don't want to go crazy for characters. Me personally, even though I'm free to play, I do go for characters more than support cards. But with the help of like the game, you can get story cards. So this Silent Suzu card is a story card. So you got a free speed card right there. You got another free speed card with, excuse me, with this Narita Brian speed card. What else was it? You got a power card for the winning ticket story, and then you also get stamina cards if you really need to work on stamina. I believe it was the Rice Shower and the McQueen ones. This one and this one over here. But of course, there are still good SR cards, which would be a pretty good stamina card to use. It's the Mayana Top Gun. The Manhattan Cafe right here. Sweet Tosho. She's pretty good too. I forgot her name. uh, Narita Bryan, and then just King Halo as well. She's actually good. She has a like corner recovery, I believe. Of course, if you don't have all that, then you could also still run with rare cards as well. I haven't because I did a couple pulls and I managed to still get some SR cards that I could use. So pretty much if you choose between, I guess, support cards and picking a character, I'd say at least go for at least 2 characters maybe. So you can have more of a variety to mess around with in the beginning, and probably solely focus on this to try to get a couple of SSR cards if you really want to. Just to let you guys know, of course, going for the support cards is better. It is better because it will help you out more in the training runs, especially if you get the max limit broken, or the more limit broken they are, at least probably from what I've heard or know, if you get them at least to 3 dupes, that's pretty much where they start getting really useful. But from personal experience, I didn't let that stop me. I still used SSR cards unless I did have any SR cards that were higher, I guess, dupe rates in it. Has more dupes in it than the SSR cards. But for example, let me go do like a little setup here for I'll go over like this whole parent system and all that. I'm not too good at describing it because I, for one, with it, especially with inheritance, I don't really mess around it with that much. But let's say if you're just starting off and you only have SR cards, then I'll probably just go roll with, let's say you have these 3 as, where is it? I guess it would show, I think she's Shinko Wendy. Or King Halo. You can do that also. Or not. Where's King Halo at? Right there, and then with power cards, you can possibly just go with like... I know Mihono Bourbon's pretty good. I probably have used it a few times. Nichino Flower is pretty good as well, so you can do that. And then... well, I guess if you guys have the story cards, then you could just go with the story cards as well. It works out just fine. And then if you want to go 4 speed, 2 power, then I'd go with a friend that has a max limit broken Kita-san Black, because she is, if not the best, she's one of the best speed cards out there. So this is pretty standard setup that I use in the beginning. Also just using guts as well, mixing up with a little bit power, maybe some stamina, just a little bit of stamina, just because with some races, especially like if you're trying to do long distance races for like the Tenosho Spring, you're gonna need at least from experience 400 stamina to beat it. I don't know about getting first place because the whole RNG thing. Sometimes I would have over 400 and I would still, until this day, not win the Tenosho Spring. Obviously, that's a optional race unless you have certain characters that does race in the Tenosho Spring, such as McQueen and like Rudolph and Heyo, just pretty much a lot of the characters who, if you've seen the show and they've raced in it or they have some history in it, they'll probably have it in there as their goal races. But I guess I don't know if you guys want me to go around the whole game to show you where things are at, but pretty sure it's self-explanatory. Each run I think was like 30 stamina each when it's not like half stamina. I'd say if you want do these daily races every day, mostly on the gold, because you're gonna need the gold, especially when you're bringing up horse girls with their levels, or if you're gonna bring up support cards to a higher level as well. I haven't really even done these right here. I still have a lot of it, and I haven't even started. Also, I know from the same person who commented for the beginner's guide, they were asked for a champions meeting guide. I'll do it for the next one. I did miss out to do like some kind of tips and all that for this one, But generally, I don't have too much um, like knowledge when it comes to inheritance, because I know inheritance is a big factor when it comes to, especially if you want to work on PvP and all that. And I'm gonna say it now, I'm not big into the whole PvP thing. I just try to make the best horse girl I can for just my own like enjoyment, you know. Uh, but I'll go like a little bit inheritance. It's just there's just a lot of steps to it. If I were to jump into it right now, so basically, if we go jump into inheritance, so once you pick a character, you get to pick two parents, and then from here you could pick one from yours, or you could pick one of your, and you could pick one of your friends for like the most optimal way of getting the best parents you can to get the best inheritance you can possible. So like I said, go look for like a friend who has pretty good inheritance. I'm not too sure. I generally look for the ones that go like 42, 20, 42, 24, something like that. Let's see if I could find one here. Oh, I know Teo. I have a Teo friend that's pretty much that. So let's say, for example, this Teo right here. So for me, I just look for the stats. I don't look for inheritance and all that unless I want to bring up, let's say, like Marozensky's medium distance or her short distance. Then I would look for someone who could bring it up. So over here, it would bring up her. If I chose this El Condor Pasa, then it would bring up my dirt. Dirt. What was this called when I'm talking about? It'll bring up her ability to race in dirt races just a little bit higher. And then you could also see what they have by going hold and click over here and go to the middle option, and then you could see what they can possibly have over here. So this one, the reason why dirt came up was because she does have it over here, 2 stars on each of the parents also, except for that last one. But the one I was talking about where I usually pick is 4221. This is one of the most used friends that I have because I generally focus a lot on speed. Because if you guys are familiar with my videos, you guys know that I usually go for speed as the main stat to go to 1200. Now for stamina, you don't generally need to have it too high unless you're working for like champions meeting, or if you want to have like a good one for PvP. So with that being said, you would probably want to just switch it over, so something like this instead. For example, one of the parents that I use one of the units that I use for like I think one of the champions meeting for like long distance, I think I'd have to use this Teo. No, or was it this Teo? No. I know I used one for Seiyun Sky, so let me take a look. This one right here. So I would have focus more on stamina compared to speed and power. But in this case, I would have speed as high as possible as well while working on stamina. Now let me go over the stats real quick. I know I was supposed to talk about inheritance, but let me go over the stats real quick since we're already here. So basically, speed, of course, is just how fast your character goes. Or the maximum speed. Stamina is basically, I guess, how would I say this? I guess if you run out of speed, I mean, we all know what stamina is. If you run out of stamina, then your horse girl's not gonna have much fun in the race anymore. Or, if you make your horse girl really fast and power is really high, you will want to have more stamina, because if those two are higher, the more stamina you're gonna need. That's a little, I guess, side tip right there, unless it was pretty obvious to you guys. I just want to make sure. For power, it does affect your acceleration, and also improves your character's speed to climb uphill or run uphill. So guts is I guess not one of the favorite stats of the game, but I truly had fun with it. If you guys didn't know, I ran the guts build so many times during during my time playing this game and posting videos for you guys. Now with guts, basically affects your last spurt in a race. So just basically that last adrenaline rush to help push your horse girl to the finish line first before the other ones. Especially with the update that's coming up. Either it has came out already or it's coming out at the day of the new of the first year anniversary. Basically guts is it also lowers your character's stamina consumption, but also um it's just basically your last spurt, like I said, for that last burst of energy to help you go for the finish line. And then wise, obviously, or intelligence or wisdom, whatever you want to call it. But its main purpose is basically to activate your skills. So the higher it is, the easier it is for you to activate your skills. It also doesn't use energy when you use it and when you go for training it in the in like the Aoharu Cup or any of the training uh, gameplays you decide to play. And then let's see what else. I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much straightforward. So speed, you basically it's just your maximum speed. Stamina is what stamina is self-explanatory. And then power is your acceleration. Guts is your last spurt. Also, it lowers your lowers the amount of stamina you need, but I wouldn't take that too hard because you still need enough stamina to make up for power and speed. And then wise is just your activation of skills. To keep it simple, I don't really. That's pretty much my understanding of all the stats. Now, I guess I should probably jump in a game, or not jump into training, so I could also talk about it a little bit more. So I guess I'll pick one of the beginner characters here. So let's go with like Sakura Bakushino is one of like the easier characters. Also Daiwa Scarlet. So let's go with actually let's go with Daiwa Scarlet. I actually am fine with that. So she's right here. So I'll pick my parents. So let me talk about inheritance real quick. So let's see. So you guys can see that Daiwa Scarlet long distance is a B, which is not too bad for long distance. So for me in general, I would pick this one right here, and then I would try to match it to where I can get some other stats, some benefit along with speed. So Suzuka's not a bad option because she can raise up the others, or I can go this because it can raise stamina, especially if I want to target a little bit of long distance races, which I normally do. And then she brings up a little bit power, which is good. But we could also just look for a better one over here. Like we can go for this instead. So I'll just go with this Rudolph just because. And then for the sake of picking cards, so with this Scarlet, I believe her growth rate is speed and guts. So honestly this setup would probably work out for me if I were to go for it. So over there, so if you're gonna go run for the guts build, if you don't have Riko Kashimoto over here, use this for probably another speed card, either for another speed card or maybe even a stamina card if you guys are notice that you're lacking that on. If you notice that you guys are lacking getting stamina while in your training runs, that's what I did pretty much. Or you can focus more of your inheritance more on stamina rather than picking another speed card or not. But this is the setup I would go for me. But if you guys want to switch this up, then you can. You could also, instead of using guts, you don't have to. You can go with something like this: 3 speed, 2 power. If your limit breaks for these other cards are high enough, you could use wise instead. But I decided to just opt for the Riko Kashimoto for Aoharu Cup reasons. But I'm gonna go with this run, or this setup right here, and then we'll see a little bit more in the game. If you guys are wondering about these options right here, I think this is the option that makes it go as fast as possible. I'm not too sure. Honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know. Now here you get your first inheritance based on whatever you picked. So I guess this is technically like an hour cup as well. So over here you have your days over here. So how many days until the race, or I believe it's days. And then over here is your morale. So typically what you want is to at least have it in the orange. In the orange, if it's below that, you want to raise it back up. If you want to raise it higher than the orange, that's perfectly fine. But the reason is because it also affects the training, especially for rainbow training. So the more motivated they are, the higher option you can get for training options. So generally in the first turn, what I do, and you guys can look in every video, most of the time what I would do is look for the first main stat that has the most support cards out there. So in this case it would be speed, so I'll pick speed over here. And then over here you'll notice you get events pop up. I don't understand, I don't read Japanese, nor do I speak it. So what I generally pick is normally the yellow option, unless I know the green option is good. So basically a lot of trial and error on my part to learn these events on what to pick and all that. Generally you'll learn it over the time you play the game, so sorry if you guys expected me to come up with some kind of guide for like all the events and all that, but that's just me speaking personally on how I learned how to pick these event choices. And over here, and then second turn, I would normally just do this. This is basically like going on a date, taking the horse girl out, or like whatever, just to hang out. So the best one over here would generally be the one you just saw, the karaoke. It could bring up the morale up twice. Normally just bring it up by 1. Now over here, this is the option for only the Haru Cup. So over here, the green one is technically easy mode, and the bottom one is hard mode. That's the quick tip for the Haru Cup. And then over here, you won't see this in the regular Ura Finals training run, but if you guys are playing the Haru Cup, you guys will notice that there's these arrows over here. So this basically will help fill up these, I guess, orbs here, or these souls over here, because it will basically turn into a soul explosion when it turns, when it gets maxed out. We'll get over there when I'll talk about it a little bit more when it happens. And then if you guys notice, there's a bar meter over here. So this is basically the bond you have with said support card. So the higher it is, the way better. Actually, I said that wrong. You want it to get it as high as possible, as soon as possible. So when you start getting rainbow training is around the last bar. When it turns orange, that's when you start getting rainbow training. Now if you guys are running Riko Kashimoto, from my experience, I guess I haven't unlocked her yet. From my experience with Riko Kashimoto, if you at least have her in the green, which is the bar before the last one, it's normally when she'll pop up and have the event for her to help join you when you go out and like go out with your horse girl. It'll basically some kind of event for her. You could also get that out of Tazuna, but I don't use her, so I can't really talk much about Tazuna. So basically what I'm going here for is, you want to have some kind of balance when you pick out these stats, but also if you're doing a Haru Cup, you would want to always pick the option that has the most, I guess, the most options to bring up the soul meter for the horse girls, but also make sure that it's on a stat that you're gonna work on, especially if you're just starting out. You don't want to like just randomly pick guts and all that. So when I started off, I would mainly focus on these three because I was worried about stamina when I started off. But when I got to learn more about the game, inheritance really helped with my stamina fix, and then also picking power also helped, because picking power also brings up stamina, whereas speed also brings up power. Guts brings up 3 stats. So if you're going for high high rank Umas just without caring about how they're gonna do. You just want a high rank Uma. Normally you just pick guts because it brings up guts, power, and speed. And then of course wise. For me, I pick wise when I don't like any of the options, and because it doesn't waste any training. I mean, it doesn't waste any energy, and you gain some back. So in this case, from over here, you can see that. Oh, you also in the beginning you want to pick up options that has the most of your support cards, so you can bring up their bond faster. The faster you bring up their bond, the quicker you'll get to getting to your rainbow training unlocked. So I'm gonna pick this option because I do want to bring up my power. And over here, I guess I unlocked Riko Kashimoto. So I'm gonna show you her bar right here. So you just want to bring it up to about just right here. I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, but right over here. So since I'm doing a guts build here, technically I would pick this. When I start off, I do want to bring up my speed at least to an E. So that would be around, I think, 200 of speed stat from my if I remember correctly. Yeah, so 200. So as you guys can see, I'm looking around, seeing what I should pick. And honestly, my best option here is to pick stamina because it'll bring these two up. As you guys can tell, I am focusing on picking, in the beginning at least, you can tell that I'm picking stat or training options where it benefits as much of my support cards as possible. Over here is fine. So I do have a lot of guts. That goes for having all those guts cards at max limit broken. So the more dupes you have in a card, I guess the higher starting how do I explain this? If you have a max limit broken card, I guess it adds more to your starting stats when you start off a training. I hope I said that the way I wanted it to. And then over here, you guys can see I have half my energy. So I could either go for another support card to boost up, or I can just bring up my wise a little bit, which I'm gonna do over here. And then over here is Riko Kashimoto. So if you have her, I would say go in the middle, because that's what I learned to unlock her little event here. And yeah, I basically figured that out also while I think recording a video. So always pick the middle one when you first get that event from her. Now over here, surprisingly, I did get her really early. Sometimes I do get her right before, but usually it happens right here when it turns green. And then I will pick wise again, since I already got Riko Kashimoto unlocked, her event at least. I usually just start backing off from it, and then I'll move on to whatever stat I need to work on. So over here, you work on power. So that's pretty much how my training goes throughout the whole thing. As for, I don't know what else I can do here. So sometimes, even though it may look like that, you have enough energy to move on. Sometimes, just due to RNG, you'll come to an unfortunate situation where your horse girl doesn't finish the training, fails the training, and she is immediately sent to like the nurse's office. From my experience, the top option is usually a safe option where she only loses 5 and doesn't get hurt, or some kind of debuff happens. So I'm gonna pick the top option. You guys gonna see that she just loses 5 of that stat that I was trying to raise. But as you guys can see, I told you guys that I always pick the bottom option or the yellow option, just to just off experience. Usually the yellow option is fine for me. Now over here, when you get to the racing screen or the prep screen for the race, you'll have an option to either just go straight to the race over here, or you can just pick your skills over here. So this is your skill list, and as you guys can see, you get skill points, and with the skill points over here, you get to pick different stats over here. Now, if you guys really want to know like the whole translations of these skills and all that, I'll leave a link down in the description below to a website that I use, especially for when I make like the banner overviews. What helped me understand what it is. But over here, from experience, I generally just pick the ones that I'm used to, or know that that specific skill is good for the character that I'm using. I know for like champions meeting, you do want to pick these green skills over here. Also, if you for PvP as well. Some of these green skills actually do help out. I know one of them is like better for counterclockwise or clockwise races. Some of them would be like better in like I guess multiples of 400, so like 400 meters, 800 meters, or the I guess negative ones. It's also like the negative number ones, not negative number, the odd numbers. There we go. So there's a lot of these green skills that will benefit when, especially if you're going for champions meeting. But for me, there's also skills based on whatever position, like over here for the leader position, over here for medium distance races. You have one over here for betweener. I think I'm using her as a leader, even though I could use her as a runner. And then these top skills over here are usually like the unique skills that you get from the parents that you chose for your horse girl. So this one over here is Teo's, and this one over here is Rudolph's. And then the top one, of course, is yours. And this one goes up during the final year of your training, which would be somewhere down the line. So basically, after the first time you reach the Haru, not the Haru, the Arimakinen. So that would be at the end of your second year. But for this, I see that I don't really have any skills that I would want to pick. So I'll just move on to the next race. And then off to this screen over here, you can see the details of the race. If you see over here where the top start is, shows you what kind of race is it between turf and dirt. So obviously this would be a turf race because Daiwa Scarlet doesn't really race any dirt races. So your goal races will typically be set for the horse girl that you're using. And then this one over here is for medium distance as well. And then you guys can see how many meters the race is, how many fans that you can gain from winning the race. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're just gonna move on over here, see the race. And you could change your position or a racing style position of your horse girl that you want. So I can switch over here to runner, or I can stay here as a leader, which I'll stay as a leader. And then over here you can see that there's circles over here. I think you can see it in the racing screen, so I'll show you that when we go to the next race. Double circle basically means your stats are good for the race. Single circle, it means you're good. I think after that it's a double triangle, and then a normal triangle, and then of course an X for not good at all. And then if you guys really want to look around, you could switch the screen around to see what other horse girls are racing with you, or you can just look a list over here. For me, I generally just skip the race because I just want to get this through as fast as possible. And seeing that this video is already taking kind of long, hopefully this video has been helping you guys. I'll probably just do a couple more minutes because I pretty much covered most of the things. So what I'm looking for right now is just for an orange bond, so I can show you the rainbow training. And then I'm probably going to go as far as just the summer training before I end the video off over here. So let's see. I'm gonna go show you guys what I'm talking about. So this one is basically, I guess, how they want to show you how you want them to show you the race list. So generally just pick this just based off fans, I believe. So over here you can, well, I guess when we make it over to the race, so I'm gonna just schedule it. You guys can do that. And then over here, this button right here is if your horse girl has some kind of injury or they got sick or anything. I know one of them is that they ate too much maybe, or they're tired or something like that. But this would be the button to press if you need to I guess help them recover. This is for a full rest. This green one over here, this one over here, if you want to look at any skills that you want to pick. I probably should have went over that earlier. This one over here is to see the overall stats of your horse girl, also to see, I guess, the list of skills once you get some more. And then this one's to pick your race. So let's move on to the next day so I can see what else I can talk to you guys about. Oh, as you guys can see, her morale went down. So it'll remind you about the race, so you won't forget. So this button right over here, right beside the go race button. So this is what I'm talking about. It'll show you if you're good for the race or not. So it's pretty good, especially when you're starting off, so you don't pick races that you know that you probably don't have a chance on. So this will give you a good indication of where your horse girl's at before a race. So obviously this is an easy race, so we'll see how it looks like when we hit the Asahi High over here. Of course, you want to pick races that suits your horse girl as well. There are some horse girls out there that require you to bring up their inheritance. Not require, but it's advised to raise their stat for what race distance they have. For example, Biwa Hayahide, she has 2 mile races, and you're gonna need to bring up her mile race because her mile aptitude, that's the word I'm looking for. I think that's what I'm looking for. But she starts off with a C, so her first race, her goal race, is a mile race, and then her next race after that, also a mile race. So you're gonna want to look for parents that can bring up her miles in order to accommodate for her mile races that are in her goal races. So the goal race is basically her mandatory races that she needs to do. So if you don't want to lose them, obviously you want to at least try to make up for that. So seeing that my stat has gone down, you could either choose to, well, if you have Riko Kashimoto or Tazuna, you can choose this option. It will also bring up some of their energy and give some stats. But if you just want to bring up their morale in general, you just want to pick this one over here. You guys can see we didn't get the karaoke, so we brought up by 1. I picked the yellow option as I always do, and it brought up her morale again. So normally my option picking the yellow one is fine. And then let's see, just like I've been saying, pick all of this, and then let's just keep going. So do some event choices, excuse me, sorry. Some event choices do give some stats towards whatever stat that event benefits, I guess. I don't know. But some event choices will be important if you really care about it. So that is like a whole different ball game for me to explain, because I don't even know which one to pick. So over here, or which one to pick, because I don't know the translations for it. But I think the website that I post down in the description should have event choices. I think I've seen it before. But I guess I could slowly touch on inheritance. So with inheritance, it's just a whole like different monster in itself, I guess. I'm gonna call it a monster because it oh hey, before I go into inheritance, you guys can see, if you guys are doing the Alharu Cup, there's a soul explosion ready. So with soul explosion, you could use it for the stat that you want to work on, but generally, since you want to use it also for a stat that you know you're not going to work on too much, because it will bring up a bonus over here with the blue over here. Obviously, it will be higher if she was also activated as rainbow training, and if she had other units to help with the rainbow training as well. But usually the rainbow training, from what I see, is only works on the stat that card is. So for example, I would probably only get a rainbow training if if this was on speed. So I'm not gonna pick this just yet. I'm just gonna look for a different stat to work on because I don't want to waste the soul explosion just yet. Or not waste, use it just yet. So we're gonna move on to the next day. Over here, if you're in the Aharu Cup, this is basically a title for or an option to pick between the title of your team. This is Harura's. I generally just go with the bottom one unless it like I'm using a character from those. So the characters I believe is Taiki Shuttle, Harura, Rice Shower. I think there's and Matikane Fukukitaru. Alright, so over here we're just gonna keep moving on. Gonna keep going with the training as is. You guys can basically see that I'm looking through trying to see which one's the best. Generally, if you see 2 or more of your support cards in one, that would be the one that you pick, unless you have to bring up some other stats. So like over here, if I wanted to, I could race this instead, but since these 2 are close to Orange Bond, I will pick it to bring it up. So now that they're in Orange Bond, we have an option. We can finally get a chance to get Rainbow Training, which is really good. So as you can see, just as I was describing it, I get a Rainbow Training. So one of them was obviously for guts and one of them was for speed. And it varies based on, I guess, morale. I've seen it before when it was on neutral. So basically this one over here, when it's on neutral, it'll be lower than what it is. But also if there's more people involved or more of them are in rainbow training as well, have this rainbow aura around it, it will be higher. The highest I've seen was in the hundreds. So that's when also I think how much you've limit broken your support cards take into place as well. The higher it is, the more you'll get, from my understanding. So I know I can do a rainbow training over here for guts, but you are taking a chance when you're below half to fail that training. Normally I have a good luck towards it, so we'll see how it goes. So another rainbow training here brings up to 23, and we'll just pick that again. I tend to favor the training of the stats that I'm looking for. So in this case, since I'm using a guts build, it's going to be speed, power, and guts. Also, I want to sprinkle in a little bit of wise over there so I can activate my skills, and a little bit of stamina just for safety reasons, because I don't want to run out of stamina and end up losing the race. Now over here, I learned that this would be corner recovery based on using the cards and I guess looking up the cards. So once you pretty much learn the kanji that's of that card, you pretty much have a good grasp on it. So this one is good for corner recovery. So that would come from the Kitasan Black, because I'm not using what's her name? King Halo. So that's from over here. So as you can see, it's over here to skill. So it's by chance that you'll get it, depending on the RNG of the game. So since I don't have much stamina, I'll pick that. And I think this one helps me in the middle of the race, where I don't run out of stamina, or it'll help bring up the endurance by a little bit in the middle of the race. So I don't have enough, so I'm just gonna move on and go to the race. Now for me, I've said it before in my races, in my videos, where if I have a race scheduled and it's not a mandatory race, based on the training I get that day might depend on me saying yes or no on doing the race that I wanted to do originally. You guys can see that I lost the race. If you don't get first, you technically lost the race. Now over here, I wouldn't advise going for trainings, no matter how tempting it may be, to go for something like this where you get 32 when you're, I guess the highest percentage I'll go for chances around the 20s. That's me personally, because I want to make sure that I don't fail any trainings. I just want to be as safe as possible in order to make sure that my horse girl doesn't get any wasted days where I have to spend another day, maybe 2 days, trying to recover her from per injury or whatever. So there's some horse girls where before this day you would have to get 10,000 fans. So that's where my habit of picking the Asahi High or the Hopeful Stakes race before this part, before the first Aoharu Cup race, I guess, if you're doing the Aoharu Cup, I would do that. So over here also in the Aoharu Cup, you're gonna see in these races how your team stats are for each category. So basically this is like PvP in a way. So as I jump in, there's going to be the 5 races listed, and you can just skip through it. You don't have to watch through. That's a lot of races to watch, honestly. Generally, of course, you want to get the best 3. At least we'll get 3 wins. And then I'm going to try and get to the summer training real quick, and then that's where I'm going to end the video, guys, because I feel like I've had a pretty long explanation of this. I don't think, honestly, I went over the stats over here. So let me go over the stats, like general stats over here. So if I forgotten to mention this in the beginning, I'm sorry. So over here is turf. This turf race, dirt races, short distance, mile distance. Oh yeah, mile distance, medium distance, long distance. Over here you have escape or runners. Generally they want to always be in the front of the pack, I guess, or just the first person in the race, just leading the pack. Over here is the leader. They generally want to stay stay in the front, but not in front of the person, not in front of runners. Betweeners, they attack. How do I explain betweeners? Betweeners are closer to the back, but then they start attacking for the first place earlier in the race, I think. I really bad at explaining this, I'm sorry, but that's pretty much how I see it. And chasers, honestly, the same thing. They just stay in the back the whole time, majority of the time, and then they'll attack towards like the final corner, if anything, before they go for first place. Now there's of course skills that accommodate each skill, like so you guys have to look up the cards that you're using in the website that I've provided down in the down in the description below. So you guys can pick the cards that you want, what you seem is helpful and all that. I do have a card tier list, not an updated one, but I'll probably hold off on the card tier list for a little bit longer because generally most of the cards that I've used are not the new ones, except for like maybe like the event ones. Is there anything else? No, there isn't. So these are the growth rates. So 20% extra growth rate in guts, and then 10% for speed. Some of these can be spread out more. Some of them have, some horse girls have it for 3 stats. Some, I actually believe it or not, have it for 4, all of them. I think Agnes Digital has a lot of them. So over here I'm gonna rest because I know she's not gonna be able to train. So let me actually speed up over here. Let me just act like this is just me doing a run. So for the race that I'm targeting, actually, I think with Scarlet, she has the Tiara races. So these are the Tiara races, the first one out of the 3. So this is part of her goal race, and then she should have the second one, and then the next one should be around the end of October over here, which would be this one over here. But I think for some horse girls have a special option where the option you choose will pick between 2 different races for her goal race. So for Daiwa Scarlet, this would be one of her races. So you can either get the Derby or this one. I forgot what it was called. So we're gonna move on now. See, 23. I don't want to really, because her motivation's kind of low, so I don't want to risk it. Even though it's just below half, I kind of just tend to do the safe option because I can, especially if I have the Riko Kashimoto event up, I tend to pick that so it can bring up my stamina or guts just a little bit more. And then over here I'll go pick this skill right here. So I'm pretty much compensating my stamina over here as use pick for skills. You can do that as well. Like one of the best ones out there for like run leaders would be, I think, Big Eater or Gluttony. And I've noticed that my Daiwa Scarlet hasn't been winning, but it's okay. It's okay. So for me, generally, before I reach the final year, I want to get at least 100k fans. And that's just me personally. I honestly think it has a factor on also getting your unique level up by the time you reach like the Tenosho Spring. Because I think after the first day you train or the second day you train after that year, you do get a chance to raise up your unique level to level 2, unique skill to level 2, and then another one would be right before the Tenosho Spring. That's another time you could raise up your inheritance. I mean, not your inheritance, your unique skill. And the last time would be right before the Arima Kinen, towards the end of the 3rd year. So right now we're in the 2nd year because we already passed December once. And if you pass December twice, that's how you know you're in the 3rd year already. So let me just get to the summer training real quick, because there is one option, or I could just say it here right now. In the summer training, on the 3rd day, the first summer training only, on the 3rd day, unless you have a race, there's an option for you to pick between green and yellow. The yellow one brings up your guts, and the green one brings up your power. So if you're thinking about bringing up power, go for the power one. If you're thinking about bringing up guts, bring up the guts. What I generally do is pick the option that I know that I'm not working on the most. So if I'm working on speed and power, I'll generally pick the guts just so I can bring up the stat. You probably won't be getting the amount of stats that I have by the end of the training run, generally because of the card difference and all that. But with that being, did we already do that race? We did. So you might have lower stats and all that. Of course, that's just the general nature of the game. You just have to start off with what you have. You won't start off with the best, so just keep playing the game, learning the game, because generally you have a lot of things when you start off. Especially you have a lot of missions to do. You have a lot of things to basically get a good handle on, because it took me quite a while before I really got used to the game. Basically just making videos here for you guys have helped me get to know the game a little bit more than I normally did before I made videos for it. So that was the option for one of the races. I believe I chose the harder option, so that would be the derby. I should have chose the top option so I could do the other one, but it is what it is. The only reason why I chose I wanted to go for the Tiara one is because there are titles here that I believe you can get. So you can get the triple Tiara or the triple crown, and then there's like the fall series, and then there's like the spring series. So those are just a series of 3 races that you guys can do. Let's see, what skill would I pick? I mean, I could just pick the Teo skill. That's perfectly fine. So we're closing into the summer training. I just want to show you guys real quick. This video has been pretty long, so I hope it helps. I generally hope it helps with the way I'm explaining it and all that, because honestly, when I was thinking about making how I would make this video, it generally didn't really come to mind on how I would do it. Honestly, I just thought I'll just say what I know and how I played throughout when I was a beginner. Obviously, there are beginner guides out there that will fully explain in more detail than I have. So I advise you to go check those out. I believe there is some guides in the video I put down in the description. So check those out if you guys really want to get into the game, like especially if you're going for inheritance. The there should be an inheritance guide out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it from what I can think of. Let me actually see what else I can talk about. I think there could be something else I can talk about. I'm sorry if I wasn't prepared for this. Generally, I'm just trying to go with how I feel for the game. You could watch the races. I just personally stopped watching the races because it just extends the gameplay. So, trying to see what else I can look for. But that's just basically the basic understanding that I have for the game. Nothing too fancy and all that. Oh yeah, in summer training, everything, all the stats go to level 5. All the training goes to level 5. So that's your opportunity to go for good training options. As for like this one, I could pick this for guts. So I'll bring that up while using soul explosion. Generally, you want to have 3 good racing days. I'm not racing days, training days in the summer training. One of them either to use on Y, so you can go for that third one, or you just basically rest. So over here, you can see that rainbow training went up to 33, and I only have 1. That's because of the training level of the stat that I have. So I'm gonna do that because I do want to raise speed up as high as possible. Normally for me, because of how far I've gotten in the game, I want to have my speed stat to at least a really high C plus or a B. So these guys saw there, that was after the 3rd day of training here in summer, that they gave you the 2 options. I chose the bottom one to bring up guts. I probably should have chosen power, but out of habit I chose I chose guts. So that pretty much is all I got here, guys. So I'm gonna just finish this training run for just because I just want to finish it. But if you make sure, if you want to go back to the menu without losing your training run, you want to pick that green button, not the one to the right, the green button with the book on it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for this video, guys. It's been a pretty long video, and I hope it helps you guys, because I just basically just said what I knew, what I understood, and hopefully that helps out. Even if you were to ask me like PvP, I generally just do this where I just auto set up. But there are some cases where I do know like there are some good characters for each things, but that's all I got, to be honest. So if you guys really are starting off, I'd probably, like I said, go for at least 1 or 2 3-star characters and try to get as much at least a few support cards that you can get. Fine Motion over here is one of the best wise cards out there, but if you're starting off, I'd probably try to go for speed, power. Yeah, speed and power. If it's a stamina card you want, I know what are their names? Super Creeks. Forgetting the names. But right here, where is she? I know I have her card right here. Right, that's her name, right? I hope I didn't just totally botch that. Super Creek, right? Yeah, Super Creek. Jeez. But yeah, that's pretty much what I can say, because when I started off in this game, I mainly had like guts, stamina, a little bit of wise. I didn't really have the best start, but I did have Kitasan Black at least when I started, I think. But with the help of all the stories out there, they do give out a necessity of cards, a good necessity of cards. Now you'll have, the only thing you'll have to go through is basically some of these cards have I guess position specific skills. Like if you choose this Silent Suzuka one, which you probably will in the beginning, you'll notice that most of it goes for runners or escapers. If you like, for this gold ship right here, or let's go for a card that wasn't an event card. Sleep Tosho over here. Skills for chasers. That's it, right? Because she's a chaser herself. So that's another example. Kita-san, black, for example, she does long distance, if I'm not mistaken, and also for runners as well. But she also has a lot of helpful stats like corner recovery, focus that turns into concentration, which is really good. She also has this one, but it's only for runners, long distance if you're looking to boost your long distance. And this is corner speed, I believe. So yeah, just go through the list of cards and see translations for cards that you end up getting or have, and then try and mix and match. Also just see which cards are the best. I don't know if they have a tier list of that out, but if you guys want to check it out, just go look for my I'll probably post it down in the description below, the tier list that I made, because generally I still go by that tier list. But yeah, with that being said, guys, I know it's a really long video, so if you guys have made it this far in this video, I just want to say thank you, and I really do genuinely hope that I did help you guys. And if you guys can, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, also leave a comment down below on your luck on the, I guess, upcoming, not luck, your luck right now in the Champions meeting. I know I vaguely or haven't talked about the Champions meeting cup right now that's out. I believe it's the Aquarius Cup. I try to come up with a setup and all that and try to tell you which ones to use when I first talk about it. I don't know if I didn't go in depth with it last time, but also let me know if you guys are new to the game and want to see some characters that you have for me to use, so that I can show you an example of how I would go for it, how would I attack it with cards when it comes to card setups and all that. So yeah, let me know down in the comments down below which characters you want me to use, or also the cards that you have, to see if I can use the same cards as you, or just what you're trying to go for as a setup. So in this case, like, let's say you guys want me to use 3 guts, 2 speed, or something else. Let me know if you guys want me to do that, and I'll show you guys how I attack it. But yeah, with that being said, guys, this video has already been long enough, so probably my longest Pretty Derby video out there. So I hope it helps you guys out there. So yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you once again, and I hope it helped you guys somehow, help the beginners out there. And one last thing, if you guys are planning to start the game, I'd say wait for, I want to say just wait for the day of the anniversary to come out so you can re-roll. That's generally what if you really want to start off playing the game with a decent start, because I'm assuming they're going to give out a lot of things for the anniversary, because they were pretty generous in the half anniversary. So I'm assuming they're going to be pretty generous for the first anniversary, which literally comes out, let's see, should come out on the 24th, so that's pretty close. I guess when I'm posting this video should be 3 days before, so yeah, hold on to your gems if you guys are waiting for the first year anniversary. And yeah, with that being said, guys, thank you once again. I hope it helped you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.